Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the You Wouldn't podcast. We're joined by a special guest, and there's no Willie G. About an hour ago, he had to rush. I won't say. I'm sure he'll speak about it. We had to rush to a doctor's appointment. So, he's thrown me in, and he said, Paddy, you're going to have to hold fort, which I'm excited for, because this guest, I was on his podcast yesterday and had a great time, but it's been a hot minute since I've done a kind of one-on-one interview steering the ship. So, I'm excited to see how I go. I'm told Kyle, if I fuck up anything, leave it in. I want you guys to see me having a fucking crack at it, to be honest. But I know it'll be all good because we're joined by Cooper Chapman from the Good Human Factory. So welcome to the You Wouldn't podcast, brother.
Mate, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So as I mentioned, I jumped on your potty yesterday and it was great fun. And then we're on here today. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, and the whole movement of the Good Human Factory.
Yeah, so my name's Cooper Chapman. I'm an ex-professional surfer. I used to travel the world and surf at a pretty high level. I was kind of ranked in the top 100 in the world for pretty much a decade after school, which was a great way to see the world and, visit some amazing places, meet some amazing people and learn some really valuable lessons. But now I run a mental health organisation called the Good Human Factory, which is all about trying to empower people to take action for their mental health. There's so much incredible awareness out in the world for mental health, especially around crisis support, but the numbers aren't getting any better. So when I started my organisation about 6 years ago, I just really wanted to dive into understanding the science behind the different habits and skills that we can do daily that regulate our nervous system and, help us live a better life. So, for the past 6 years, I've been traveling around the country delivering keynote workshops at high schools, corporate groups, sporting clubs, and just trying to encourage people to take better care of their well-being. I wrote a book, a bunch of other cool stuff, and it's been a cool journey.
I want to get into that more as the podcast goes on, but you spoke about being a professional surfer, being in the top 100, traveling the world. Where haven't you been in the world? Have you pretty much ticked off most major places?
I mean, anywhere that doesn't have an ocean, I haven't really been. It's quite interesting when you travel in a sport where you're super ocean locked, you have to go to the places where there's waves.
Sure. Okay.
I basically would travel to kind of the same places year after year. So I've been to the same place a lot of times, but there's definitely a lot of places that I really want to go. So for instance, I'd fly to Indonesia most years and compete all around different islands in Indonesia. Japan quite a bit. I had a few events there. All around Europe not all around Europe, to be honest. I'd go to France and Portugal and not really anywhere else in Europe. A lot of time in America, around LA, kind of surfing Huntington and down in Lower Trestles. South Africa would have a few events. Where else? South America, a few different places, but always sick places where there was surf. So there's so many places I really want to see. Egypt is so high on my list to go to the pyramids, but no surf there, so I never went there. Italy I never went to and haven't been there before. I really want to go to the Northern Lights and
that'd be mad.
There's so many places that I really want to go.
Dude, there's one thing about me. I am so bad at geography.
I'm pretty
awful. And to be fair, I'll give myself points. I was going to say you wouldn't have been many places in Europe because I'm assuming a lot of them are landlocked. But where are the Northern Lights in
Norway, Iceland? I don't know.
Yeah, so
I normally don't have a producer
for me too.
Yeah,
Kyle can just get typing.
The Arctic Circle, in Norway, Sweden, Alaska,
Finland, Greenland,
anything up the top there.
Switzerland? I want to go to Switzerland badly.
Or maybe Switzerland's not north enough maybe for it.
No, not north enough.
You'd be spewing if you went all the way there and they weren't there. Because you're not guaranteed, right?
I'm pretty sure actually it goes on a cycle over, and you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody said to me you better go and see them soon or they're not going to be there in a while. And I was like, what? But they go in cycles, and I think right now is a pretty good time, but in the next few years they get less and less bright. Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up. It's weird.
Yeah, because I really want to go shark cage diving. It fascinates me, bro.
Really?
I love sharks. Super scared of them, obviously. I feel like no one's not scared of them, but it's always been top of my bucket list. But you go on the website to book, and it's you get there 6 a.m., you get back 6 p.m., and you're not guaranteed to see a shark. I'm like, fuck, bro, that's a big day. Imagine you full get in the cage and there's just nothing around.
I don't reckon you'd fit in the cage the whole time though. You'd go out on the boat looking for a shark.
Maybe. But maybe that'd be top of my
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, I've done bungee jumping, which is up there. I've done skydiving. Something about I don't know why, bro. Sharks fascinate me so much.
You ever driven like a fast car around a racetrack?
No,
like
I haven't done that. I've done like the boats
fun.
in Queenstown. It's like there's a place called Oxbow. It was like it's like a racing boat, and it's the only commercial place you can do it. Like you can actually sit on it and ride, and that was like crazy. But that would be really fun around the racetrack.
Did you do the little go-karts or
on the luge? Yeah, the luge is sick,
so
bro.
good
The luge is hectic. Yeah, I love it there, bro. Yeah. One of our mates, Jackson, he fell off and like got fed. Yeah, that was good fun. Have you ever had any like encounters in the ocean with sharks and stuff like that?
Not really. For someone who's surfed probably more than majority of people. I mean, spent more time in the ocean than majority of people. I haven't had too many encounters. Never an encounter where I was like scared really for my life.
Okay.
Probably the closest in South Africa at Jeffreys Bay. It's a pretty well-known place where Mick Fanning got attacked.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Got not attacked by a shark, had an encounter with a shark, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I got to go to Jeffreys Bay quite a few times, and I think it might have been a year or two after Mick got attacked. I was there for the World Tour event with my friend Wade Carmichael, who was on the World Tour. And I was doing a bit of coaching with him and just sort of hanging out. It was like the week after my event, and then I went down to watch him. And in one of his heats, he was out there surfing, and the commentator's like, heat's on hold, there's a shark at the top of the point. Shit. So the jet ski comes and picks him up. And then I remember so clearly, like they're sitting on the jet ski and the waves would come through. And as the waves would come through, you could see through the back of the wave a shark just cruising. And it was big. And it just sort of cruised all the way down the point. You'd watch it every time a wave would come. You'd see it through the back of the wave. And then like, all right, it's far enough down the point. Heat's back on, get back out. So,
and what, they'd have a helicopter or something watching?
Well, they have drones now that look over the whole lineup for a lot of the surfing events. Obviously with the shark activity and some of the tragic events that have happened in the last year. They've got like all surfing contests in like local medium-sized events, I'm pretty sure, have to have like a drone at all times around the event and a jet ski in the water as like water safety. So if something happens, there's a jet ski there straight away. But yeah, that was like one encounter that I had in Jeffreys Bay where I wasn't even in the water, but my mate was. But just watching it swim down the point's a little bit eerie because you're out there surfing.
Yeah. You know you got to go.
Free surfing without the... Like, they must always be there when you don't have the surveillance. Yeah,
if you're just, like, get there a few days early and warm surfing up or whatever,
We're doing that. We'll surf in the morning and at night, and there must be, like, ones like that you just don't even notice.
Because that Mick Fanning one, dude, was so edge. Like, especially when the wave came over and he went out of sight for a few seconds. Like, I'm not a huge... I was speaking to you and your old man yesterday. I'm not a surfer at all. But, like, I watch it every now and again. Like, my favourite memory from surfing was... Mick Fanning at Bells Beach versus Kelly Slater in the final. And one of them did this hectic aerial and got like a 10.
Kelly.
And yeah, mate, that was fucking awesome. But yeah, that Mick Fanning thing, dude. And then Julian Wilson was like paddling over to, and that whole thing was just so... I don't reckon I would have ever got back in the water.
It was nuts. Like Mick's story is so incredible. The amount of things that he's had to deal with in his life and like... throw a shark attack in there, and I sometimes think about like how different that could have been because it was a 100%. Live webcast. Like, imagine if he literally got chomped and died like live in front of the world, the world champion. Because
I know you'd probably know a lot more about it than me, but something about the leg rope got in the way, and he thinks that's what threw the shark off or something.
Well, I don't think that's what threw it off. I just think it accidentally got tangled in it. He was sitting on his board, and it swum past, and there's a. To the shark, wouldn't have noted the leg rope. Its nose must have got stuck in it and gone like, "What's this?" and thrashed around.
Right, okay.
Maybe it wasn't going in for a bite, but yeah, who knows? It's it's crazy. That
is wild. So, with all this traveling you've done, is there one country that stands out that has taught you the most, or you've learnt the most lessons from?
It's a good question. I think everywhere like kind of teaches you a different lesson, but the place that I've probably learnt the most, I mean, I think the contrast between spending quite a lot of time in America, seeing how America runs as a country is quite interesting, and the way that, the world works in America. But then the contrast of going to third world countries and seeing how differently people live. So sort of seeing this like ultra wealth life of some people in America that I've been, lucky enough to connect with, but then into this like ultra poverty life of third world countries, different places in Indonesia that I've traveled. But just to show like how different the worlds that certain people live in and what like normal is. That's the thing that I always play this like weird thing in my head of like, I can't believe how like weird what those people are doing in that country. And it's like, Australia is such a small population. Like what we're doing is like very minuscule. Like we're 0.3% of the global population. Yeah. Our normal is so different to most people's normal. Yeah. And I always, it's a weird thing to think about. I know you're like me and just have these weird thought trains sometimes. I'm like,
with you. Yeah, 100%.
Right now there's, this is another one I had recently. Like right now there's more human consciousness than ever before on this planet. I'm like, can't we all come together and finally like figure it out that we don't have to fucking, kill people and like just have peace? Yeah. Anyway, that's where my mind goes. But yeah,
I could sit and talk about where they go for fucking hours, dude. We were speaking about the other day about like, because Will has, we were having a laugh that Will's a very negative person. And he was in LA, funnily enough, not long ago, kind of living that life in a big mansion in the hills. And for whatever reason, dude, he came on so positive one episode. Like, and we're like, bro, what's going on? And he went away and he did some gratefuls. And the next episode he came back in and he did all these gratefuls. And then we got talking about third world countries and Indonesia and stuff. We're like, they're just so grateful for like the littlest kind of thing, like literally a bowl of rice at the end of a long day of work. Like not speaking on behalf of them, but we would imagine like they would just reap that up and just that they would be so content with that, and we'll kind of just, it is interesting that contrast and comparison between different worlds and I guess what their normal is compared to others.
And it's so interesting. And my dad, you were lucky enough to meet my dad yesterday. He's a great man. And he always said to me as a kid, like, try and base your life on appreciation, not expectation. And I feel like third world countries really have that. Like, they're so appreciative of everything. Whereas in Australia and America, like, we feel like we deserve, or we have this expectation that we need to, we deserve this from the government. We deserve this from our schools. We deserve this from the healthcare system. So we have so much expectation around us. And my dad was like, if you focus on expectation, you're going to live a dull life. If you focus on appreciation, you're going to live a bright life. So it's like, how do we have gratitude as a practice? And Will's story is probably a pretty good example of that. If you like take time to practice gratitude, your life's going to be brighter.
Well, it's something you do. You post on your story every night. I see it. It's something you do every day, right? Yep. How many days in a row have you been practicing gratefulness? You do 3 a day?
I do 3 a day, yeah. So for 1,705 days, like you said, if anyone follows me on social media, you'll see me post a little yellow tile every night saying with like a photo of something I did that day, and then I list 3 things that I was grateful for that day. And as much as people just see it on my story, there's a reason why I do it. So I have an Instagram community called the 1% Good Club. I work in this mental health space. I'm big on gratitude and mindfulness. And 1,700 days ago, I had this epiphany, I guess. I was lying down doing a meditation myself. I couldn't slow down my mind. Yeah. And I started to think, like, surely we can all give 1% of our day to our mental health. You're a perfect example of showing that, like, a lot of people have mental health struggles. And I know your listeners are super supportive on how open you are about mental health. And I was doing this meditation. I was like, surely we can all agree we can give 1% of our day to our mental health. 1% of 24 hours is 14 minutes and 24 seconds. And I stopped this meditation, mid-meditation this day, and I was like, okay, like what's 1%? I worked out on my calculator, it was 14 minutes, and I was like, what can we do for 14 minutes that's good for our mental health? There's so much great research that shows meditation and mindfulness as a practice is important to quiet our mind. And then gratitude is an incredible way to release serotonin and oxytocin in our brain that make us feel good. So I was like, all right, 4 minutes gratitude, 10 minutes meditation, there's 14 minutes for your mental health. I also know we're like 9 times more likely to maintain a healthy habit if we have a community around us.
Okay, cool.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to start this Instagram group chat and say to everyone, every morning I'll send a 10-minute meditation link so you can click on it, super easy. Every night I'll post on my story, so this is where that story comes in. On my story, 3 things I'm grateful. And then I forward that story to an Instagram group chat. And it started with 30 people 1,700 days ago. There's over 3,000 people now who do it every day. And it's completely free. It always will be. It was just a way for me to encourage people to take daily action for their mental health. And over the past 1,700 days that I've done it, almost 5 years now, there's been over 1 million gratitudes sent in from the community members. And I've had thousands of messages from people saying, like, it's profoundly changed my life being a part of this community. It's made me look for the positives. It's made me calm down in the morning. And to be honest, out of all the work that I've done, it's the thing I'm probably most proud of because it's free for anyone to join. If you're listening right now and you're like, you know what, I want to take a bit of action for my mental health, send at The Good Human Factory, a little yellow smiley, a DM on Instagram saying, I want to join the club. You get added into the community. It's free. It always will be. If you don't like it, you can leave. But you'll literally read 200 people in your community. Every community has about 200 because Instagram group chats are limited to 250.
Okay. Yeah.
But you'll start to read your community's gratitudes every day, and you're like, oh, there's all these cool things that other people are grateful about.
Yeah, so you'll post your own in that group. So like, if I actually want to join, and then I'll post my 3 in that group chat.
Exactly.
And you can
don't
read
have to
everyone
post
else's.
on your story. I'll just show you the face of it, just so you can have an understanding. So I'll post like my story. This is just from yesterday, one group chat.
Yeah, cool.
And then they'll write 3 things they're grateful for, 3 things they're grateful for. And then every Sunday I ask like a bonus reflective question. And then my girl who works for me writes back to people. And then there's like bang, bang, bang. Like there's like 150 that I've just shown you just from yesterday. But then there's like 10 group chats.
Yeah.
So it's like this beautiful community. And that's sort of where my book really came from. It's called the same thing, the 1% Good Club.
Yeah.
And it's all about just trying to encourage people to take action for their mental health. This idea of moving from awareness to action. And I think 14 minutes should be a sort of baseline bare minimum for everyone.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you do 14 minutes a day for your mental health? I'd like to know.
Fuck, probably not enough, hey. Have a beer.
14 beers.
14 beers in 14 minutes, mate.
Get in that fucking group chat, please.
Yeah, get
That's
me
right.
in.
That's why why we're having this conversation now.
It's good.
So people maybe reflect and go, oh shit, maybe I don't do anything. All right, maybe I could just start with 14 minutes. And that's what I did on purpose. I didn't want people to be like, I have to change my life.
That's what it is. And it's particularly, speaking from experience, someone like me living with ADHD, a lot of stuff's overwhelming. So if you said to me, hey, join this chat and we do meditation every day and gratefulness every day, I'd be like, fuck, that's a lot. But when you dumb it down to 14 minutes, it really kind of is like, oh, that is so achievable every day,
And if the meditation, you're like, oh, it really isn't for me, I encourage people to give it another try.
Yeah.
But if you're like, it's not for me, just join the group chat for the gratitude.
Yeah.
And even I have community members all the time go, I didn't feel confident enough to post my gratitudes each day, which is sad that people don't feel safe enough to do that. But the communities are an incredibly safe and comfortable place. But then they'll eventually write their gratitude and be like, oh, like I just love reading other people's. It makes me feel good reading people talking about positive. Like, so much of our social media is so much negative. So yeah, join the community, just write your gratitudes if you want. And it just keeps you accountable because you put it on silent, but you're seeing your messages. There's an unread message, you open it and you're like, oh, there's 10 people writing why they're grateful today. Maybe I'll do mine.
And do you do do you guide the meditations? Or
I don't. I just literally send a YouTube link.
Okay.
I've been saying for years to the community, I'm like trained in mindfulness and breath work, and I've trained a lot of people in that, but I haven't recorded any. And I've been saying to the community for like the last 18 months, I'm going to record 7. So I've got a Monday to Sunday 10-minute meditation. So then at least I get the download and put it on my YouTube. But I just haven't got around to it. I literally had a chat with a friend of mine who runs a meditation school and does a lot of meditations. He said to me, he's going to help me. So watch this space. Hopefully in the next few months, it'll be my voice. But we just send a YouTube link every day. That way it's super accessible. Anyone can just click on the link. Easy. Yeah.
All right. So let's get you've introduced that kind of, I guess, the core essence of the Good Human Factory. I want to get into it more. And it is in the book, which Kyle can testament to, that I did buy at the airport, that I read for a couple of flights. I said it again to you yesterday. I haven't finished it, but it was a good thing for me to even start reading, to be honest. No. But from what I read, I really enjoyed it. But can you just take us through the journey to starting it? Was there a specific point when you were like, yep, I'm doing this? Or was it something that over time kind of built up? Where was the beginning of the Good Human Factory?
I love that you've read the book, so you kind of know what I'm going to say.
I do know what's coming.
There is a bit of a journey to it, and I like to tell this story because it makes people, I guess, understand my why behind starting what I did. So I have some family history of mental illness. I know many people listening right now will be able to relate to this story, and a bit of a trigger warning. There will be small mentions of suicide over the next few minutes, but nothing too heavy. But when I was 6 years old, I lost an uncle to suicide, and I don't remember too much of it, but I remember you telling me that you related to that part of my book because it was when I talked about seeing my dad cry for the first. Did you say that?
Yeah.
So that's like right at the start of the book. I share is literally in the first couple pages that I lost an uncle, and obviously at the time I didn't get told it was suicide. But as I got to my teenage years, my dad explained a bit more about what happened. His brother had taken his life, and then I watched my dad throughout my teen years struggle bits and pieces with his mental health, depression, anxiety, alcoholism. And because of that, I began to realize maybe I'm going to end up with a mental illness. You know, my dad lost his brother, my uncle, my dad struggles. Maybe it runs in the family. I'd hear it's like hereditary in men. So because of that, I was kind of fearful, but always kind of forward thinking and curious. All right, I better try and learn some stuff about this. So if I do get to a point of struggle, maybe I'm a bit more equipped to deal with it. And, you know, I'd never had any intention of being a keynote speaker and an author and all this stuff in this space. I was a pro surfer traveling the world, just having a good time. But then my youngest sister lost a friend to suicide in her last year of high school. And that was I remember it clearly. I was sitting around the dinner table and she looked really upset, Sophia, and I was like, "Are you all right?" And she shrugged me off and didn't want to answer. And then eventually she said, "You know, I lost a friend to suicide yesterday." And I looked up some of the statistics that night around youth mental health issues and went like, wow, this is a really big challenge. Like so many young people are struggling with the mental health, just so many people in general are. And then I started to think back through sort of my last 10 years of life and the ups and downs I'd had, but the lessons that I'd learned that had really helped me, especially in my down times. And I realized I never got taught any of this stuff at school. Maybe I can go and talk to some of the students at my old high school and share some of these lessons around gratitude and mindfulness and the neuroscience of them and, you know, kindness and all these different skills that I was like, I didn't get taught them at school. So I called an old school teacher mate of mine and was like, "Mate, I'd love to chat to you about this idea I've got of coming and maybe doing a few workshops with the students and teaching some of these lessons, and maybe it'll help one or two of them. You know, my sister just lost a friend at a school around the corner. Like, if I could help one kid make their life 1% better, like what an absolute privilege that would be." And he said to me, let's go get a beer and we'll chat about it. And he was a very entrepreneurial teacher too. His name's Woody. He's a legend. I share the story in the book. And he said to me, like, "Mate, you're such a good human for wanting to do that. Like, we'll have kids come to your workshop and they'll leave a little bit better of a human and we'll call it the Good Human Factory." And that was where the name came from. So I didn't come up with the name, my mate did, but I always wanted, the reason I liked that name was my name's Cooper. I've got double O. I would always sign Cooper with a smiley under the OO.
Yeah, cool.
So when he was like, "Good Human Factor," I was like, "Ooh, good smiley. It's a great idea for a logo. It's perfect."
It's all adding up.
So that was kind of where the idea came from. And yeah, I mean, where you want to go with it, the sort of journey was like very slow of getting my foot in the door. Because I know you said you wanted to maybe get into something like that.
Yeah, mate. When my first ever
give some
podcast,
advice.
Turn Up the Talk, which was, you know, I've spoke about on this podcast before, it was the mental health podcast. It was, we were young, we were interviewing athletes who wanted to become a charity, and we wanted to do exactly that. We wanted to go into schools, and we did, like the most we got was we did like a video on Are You OK Day with our old school, because Mary Ann Larkin, her son went to Waverley, Gus, who passed away, and her husband founded it. So it was a close tie. Lockie, who I did Turn Up the Talk with, his mum was Gus's nurse. So there were a lot of close ties there. So we did some stuff with that. But yeah, we never actually got into going and delivering programs and stuff like that. But that was always our goal. And as I've mentioned before, my personal goal is to open like a youth wellness center. Like I really, really want to do that. I think it would be brilliant. But
Well, maybe there's some scope. I'm like just starting to bring my little sister in to do workshops for the Good Human Factory.
I did see that you're opening up into primary schools.
Into primary schools,
I wanted to see that. So how's that? So right now you go deliver workshops
Yeah.
to high schools and
pretty much any group that'll
Any
see me.
group?
But it
Yeah.
started with high schools. Back after I had that idea, I went to a few high schools, but I was still surfing professionally at this time, and I was working as a tradie 50 hours a week when I wasn't traveling overseas to fund my surf career. So I had fuck all time. For
Yeah.
anyone who's out there going like, "Oh, I don't have any time to start something new." Like, I know what you're saying, but
You
if something
did it.
really matters to you, let it slowly build. Because 2019, I did one school workshop and one touch footy club workshop. 2020, COVID happened and everything got put on hold, and I focused on building other elements of the business.
Yeah.
Like the podcast, the merch, the ambassador program, like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And then like 2021, I traveled internationally again, so I didn't really set it up too much. And then from 2022 onwards is when it's sort of gone high school workshops. All the teachers started going, "Oh, I really needed that."
Yeah,
And I was
cool.
like, "Oh, maybe I can turn it into a corporate offering too," which was always a plan, but I was going to change it. But I realized like, no, just keep it very similar to what you do for high school students, but add a few different stories. And yeah, now I've presented for like Apple, Telstra, Red Bull, Amazon, Westpac, Coles,
Sick.
like Origin Energy. Like I
Yeah,
kind
that's
of go to
mad.
every industry, and it's been really well.
So how do you then, so to tailor it from high school to adults, you mentioned it's pretty similar, but you do it to a few like twinges with stories and stuff. What's that like for primary school? Is that a whole nother kind of thing with that younger demographic? And
Primary
how-
school, yeah, is definitely going to change.
Yeah.
Like I'll literally click the same slideshow for a year 7 group to a leadership group and a corporate session,
Yeah.
but have a few different stories that are a bit more age appropriate.
Yeah, sure.
But with primary, my sister's is going to be same themes. It's going to be around gratitude, mindfulness, and kindness, but a bit more activity based. So it's a bit more fun. The kids come and do like little activities where they pour water into this bucket and peel stickers off, and then do activities where, you know, they focus on naming and chatting to their friend next to them about a person, a place, and a food that they're grateful for, and then learning to use the mindfulness technique of like, what can I see, what can I hear, what can I feel, and naming it, and just understanding that these are skills that we can use if we're ever feeling overwhelmed and our nervous system isn't feeling great. That, okay, remember these little skills. Look for what you're grateful for, look for your senses, look for a way to be kind to yourself or others. So yeah, I'm excited to see how my sister goes presenting. She's a primary school teacher herself already. Cool. Yeah. And she was the catalyst of why I started the Good Human Factory. So it's really cool to see.
This is your sister whose friend took her life?
Yeah, so she's seen mental health issues firsthand around her. And she just put I kind of mentioned to her last year, if you want to do some programs for me, primary schools are asking a lot for me to come and talk. And I've done a few, but I just feel like it's not really my spot, young kids. She was like, oh, I'm not really ready. And then she came to me a couple of weeks ago and she's like, hey, I really want to do it. And we put out that she's going to do primary school, and we had like 90 leads come in like 24 hours. So it's exciting to see where that can go. I
want to talk, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a point. So you're growing up, right? You're from a sporty family, surfing on the tour, top 100 in the world, like living life. And there was a moment where you went into the Olympic camp, and from what I remember from the book, there was a significant moment you took out from that day.
Yeah, so I'd kind of just lost my major sponsor about 6 months before the first Olympics training camp for surfing in Australia. And I was pretty much down in the dumps, to be honest, as someone who based so much of my self-worth on external validation, on what I thought other people thought of me. When you lose your major sponsor, it's a massive thing. You know, I was sponsored by Hurley for 7 years and they supported my career amazingly. And the industry was in a bit of a weird spot. It's even harder now to find sponsorship and funding to be able to fund your career. But I was making around $50,000 a year, and I just had my best year ever, ranked 23rd on my tour. I was about 1 or 2 heats away from making it to the world tour. And I was ranked about 55th in the world at this stage. And then I got dropped. I lost my sponsorship. They're like, look, we don't think you're going to make it. We're sorry, but that's just the way it is. And at the time I was very pissed off and, you know, angry and victim mindset. And to be honest, in hindsight, they were right. I didn't make it. But at the time I was like, this sucks. Like, I wanted to quit. I wanted to retire. I was like 22 years old. And yeah, I went on a bit of a destructive kind of 6 months of, you know, drinking and recreational partying and, you know, doing all that stuff, kind of worlds against me, still competing, but just like terrible mindset. And then I got invited to the first ever Olympics training camp for surfing, and they invited the top 10 male Aussie surfers and top 6 women. And I reckon I was probably right on that 10th spot. So I kind of went into the camp knowing, you know what, I'm probably not going to make the Olympics team, but you know what, let me try and get everything else I can out of this camp. And it was epic. We had like Kathy Freeman came and did a talk for us, a bunch of other, Ken Wallace, an Olympic gold medalist. But there was 2 people there who taught me some lessons that I really say changed my life. And as you saw in the book, it really was a big fork in the road for me. One was a guy called Ben Crow, and he does, he's a mindset coach. He used to work for Nike, but now he works for top-level athletes like Ash Barty, Steph Gilmore, Molly Picklum. And he said to us, like, pro surfing's what you guys do, but it's not who you are. And that made me start to go like, okay, like maybe there is a bit more to me than losing my sponsorship. Maybe there's more to Cooper than just a surfer who feels embarrassed that he doesn't have a sponsorship. And then another guy who's at that training camp and who I've worked with over the years, and is very important to me, his name's Jason Patchell. He's a sports psychologist, the lead one for Surfing Australia. And I was having some meetings with him during that camp, talking to him about, I guess, how I was feeling, my self-worth to do with this sponsorship. And he really said to me, like, if you base your self-worth and your identity on your career and achievements, you're always going to be riding this roller coaster of external validation. And I was like, well, what else can I base my self-worth on? And he said, what are your values, Cooper? And I was like, I don't know, kindness, respect, honesty, all these things that mum and dad drilled into me when I was a kid. But he said, great values to have, but how well do you actually live to those on a day-to-day basis? Do your actions actually match up to them? And it made me really start to think about the day-to-day actions and the life I was living. And I was like, you know what, I wasn't that honest. I'd be sneaky and lie and try and like get out of things instead of taking responsibility. You know, I probably didn't have the respect that I should have had for my parents at this stage, late teenage years. I'm sure a lot of young people, or not actually, I'm sure a lot of people my age in their early 30s start to like look at their parents and go, far out, I wish I treated my parents better than I did. Yeah. So I was having these kind of reflections in my early 20s, and that set me on a path throughout my 20s to try and understand who I am as a person. but trying to understand what values I want to live by and how can I actually live by them. And that was, I guess the basis of my book, my business, and a lot of things, learning these incredible lessons about living by solid values.
Yeah, awesome. Mate, that's sick. Yeah, I've got a list here I want to give you and play like a little game.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, make sure you guys check out that group. So you message us smiley face with a...
No. So at The Good Human Factory,
Yeah.
just the Instagram, that's our Instagram page. If you just message saying, I want to join the club,
Perfect.
you get added in. It's
Cool.
free. If you don't like it, just leave. Mute the notifications so you don't see them. And it's just a good, positive community to be a part of.
Awesome. All right, so I've got... The game is like you stay on. So I'm going to name 2 things,
Yep.
and then you pick one,
Okay, yeah,
and
I've
then
seen you
another
do this
thing, and then
recently.
you pick on and pick on. So
Okay.
the first one is journaling or a surf.
A surf.
Okay.
Journaling, I'll just leave it at just. I've
We'll
tried
pick the
journaling.
button.
No, journaling I've tried for years and I understand
can't
the
get it?
benefits of it, but I just can't
Yeah,
fucking
okay.
get it. And I probably would have picked the surf anyway,
Yeah.
even if I
All
was a
right.
journaler.
I got a feeling surf might take the cake here.
Maybe not.
Surf first, dinner with your 5 closest friends.
What's this for in relation to just like what I would rather
Just what,
do?
yeah, what you'd rather do. Would you rather go out for a not like never again, but like say would you rather go out for a surf or have a dinner with your 5 closest friends?
Dinner with my 5 closest friends.
Okay, cool. Dinner with your 5 closest friends or a nice sauna ice bath session?
Oh, dinner with my. I'm gonna just keep going. Dinner. I don't know what else you got in there, but I'll go dinner. I'd love a sauna and ice bath, but I'd do dinner with my 5 mates
A night away down the coast.
by myself.
Let's say with a mate. You bring one mate. Get to go down the coast for a night.
Ooh. I'd probably still do dinner with my 5
Yeah.
closest mates.
There's something about, dude. I know. I'm the same. There's something about that.
There's nothing better than sitting around with your mate. I think
it's
it's like
so good.
biological in our like bones and DNA that like we used to sit around fires and hunt food and then prepare food and then
And it's
eat
just
it
run
together.
through
It's
us.
just, I love it.
It is. It's unreal. Seeing your favorite musician or band live.
Or dinner with my Oh,
I'm going to get into where we love music on this podcast. So
Okay.
we've got a Patreon where we do like a extra 20 minutes at the end of each episode.
yeah.
And I want to get some of your music. I want to talk music with you.
Okay,
So I'll be interested in
I mean,
that.
I guess I kind of have to by proxy say like Fish is my favorite artist, and I get to go to some pretty crazy Fisher
Yeah.
concerts. But I'd probably still pick dinner with my 5
Yeah,
closest
okay.
mates.
All right, this one's going to be tough, I reckon.
Okay.
This is the final one. Dinner with your 5 closest mates or a home-cooked meal from mum?
Oof. A home cooked meal with mum
Can't
because
beat it, eh?
because I'll put an asterisk. It usually means that I've got my sisters and my dad there with
Yeah,
me too,
okay.
so it's extra.
Yeah. So you were when I was with you yesterday. So you've got your sister Chloe,
Yeah,
who's
oldest
married
sister.
to Fish.
Yeah.
Then you've got your youngest sister.
Yeah, Olivia, who's got a new baby, Cruz. She just
Yep.
got married on Valentine's Day last year.
And you've one
And
more
my youngest sister is
Yeah.
a primary school teacher, Sophia, and she's a little pro surfer and
And you
teacher
split
as well.
between Gold Coast and Sydney, the family kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. So Chloe and Fisher live on the Gold Coast. I
Yeah.
live on the Gold Coast, and my youngest sister, Sophia, lives on the Gold Coast. My mum kind of bounces between Sydney and the Gold Coast. She rents a little place up there just because my older sister Chloe and Fish have 2 young babies now.
Yeah.
So my mum helps Chloe a bit when Fish is traveling. And my mum and dad live here on the Northern Beaches in Narrabeen, and then one of my younger sisters, lives in Terry Hills with her husband and their newborn little cruisy.
So how often do you reckon you all get together? Like, is it often, or is it like once or twice a year kind of vibe?
All get together, yeah, maybe like once or twice a year kind of vibe.
That
I mean,
must be nice when you all do.
yeah, I mean, definitely like Christmas all the time. I didn't.
Yeah.
Last year was the first Christmas ever I haven't been with my family. I was in Brazil with my partner and her family. But there's a few moments, like a Fisher show or 2 each year. Like we try and all catch up. I think we're doing Easter together up on the Gold Coast. Well, the other thing that's hard is like my sister and Fisher are overseas for like 6 or 8 months of the year as well. So it's like outside those windows trying, but we're pretty tight knit. Like like on the Gold Coast, I'll see my sister and my youngest sister like multiple times a week usually between the
nice.
2 of them. And
Yeah.
then like my mum's up quite a bit, so I see her a lot. And then like I'm in Sydney right now I'm in Sydney a lot for work. So altogether, not that much, but I'm lucky to kind of see it. And we all kind of see each other all the time.
Yeah. So you spoke on Fish, and he's married to your sister Chloe. You come from a very successful kind of family. It seems like, like they're I don't know, obviously Chloe's doing her own thing and she's very successful. Like I mentioned, my mum's obsessed with her and Elodie. Like it just seems like meeting your dad. Was he a professional surfer or no? He just loves it.
No, my mum and dad are very blue collar.
Some reason I thought your old
my
man
dad's
might
a
have been like
draftsman.
it. Yeah, right. Okay.
My dad surfed growing up, but my dad's been working on CAD on his computer, drawing designs for air conditioning units into buildings since he was in his 20s.
Yeah, right.
And my mum's been like a house mum and cleans houses on the side to make a little bit extra cash. So, yeah, we're just very normal family. Came from very humble beginnings, and then I, got into my surfing and loved my surfing, and was quite successful quite young. So that kind of created our surf scene. Chloe, my older sister, her best friend was Laura Enever, who's a world junior champion surfer, was on the world tour for a long time, got the world record for the biggest wave ever surfed. So Chloe was traveling a bit with Laura.
She's got the biggest wave ever surfed. She's got the
biggest
record.
wave ever paddled into by a woman.
Was that at that lighthouse in Germany or something?
No, it wasn't in
What's
Nazaré.
Nazaré there.
No, that's like where a lot of people do a lot of big toe surfing. A bit of paddling there, but she did it. She paddled this crazy wave in Hawaii a couple of years ago.
Yeah, right.
Insane. But because my sister was best friends with Laura, we were always around the surf kind of scene. And there you go. 40. Oh yeah, watch this. It's crazy.
Yeah, put it on.
Biggest wave ever surfed.
Fucking hell, dude.
But so because my sister was around that, she did like a bit of modeling. My sister for Roxy and Chloe. All my sisters actually did. But then my sister met Fisher because he used to be a pro surfer.
Yeah.
So through that, she met him. Here you go. Watch this.
Yeah, sweet.
Crazy.
Fucking hell.
She gets smashed on it too. You ready?
Just a wipe out.
Yeah, but she made the drop and made the takeoff.
Yeah,
so it's considered she rode the wave.
How fast would she be going right there at the peak of coming down that wave?
Like 40 k's an hour, 40 to 50 k's an hour. Yeah, you're getting smashed. That's a big, scary wave. Like
so do you
43 foot, 44 foot, 13.5 meters.
I know it's almost like a different sport in itself, big wave surfing to normal surfing, but do you just as like a great surfer, do you froth the idea of a massive wave, or are you more like just a standard not good wave? Or like if there was a massive swell, would you go out there? Or is it like a different kind of thing?
It's a different sport. It's like literally vert skating compared to, it's probably a bad example. It's like a different sport. It's like someone who rides a mega ramp compared to someone who just rides street skating. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
But I've definitely surfed some big waves compared to your average punter. Where like,
for sure.
wow, you're surfing massive, scary waves. But like that sort of thing that she was doing there and the toe surfing in mega waves is like completely different. I've surfed some like 15 to 20 feet waves. Yeah. But not 40 feet like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to touch on Chloe and Fisher for a second and just seeing them, I guess, excel so much in both their careers. What have you learned from them? Is that something you've looked to? Like, are they two people, that you look up to or take lessons from, or is it more their family, you don't kind of see it that way? Like, what have you learned from two, I guess, really successful people in their chosen careers?
I guess both. One, that they're still just my sister and brother-in-law. Like, we hang out as if, no one, like anyone who knows anyone who's got a profile, like when you hang out with people, it's like, it's normal. It's my sister and brother-in-law. But I'm so proud of them just to see a few things. One, that like Fisher, most people see as like this overnight success, but like I knew him when he was a pro surfer, struggling to get by. And my sister was like first with him, and it was, it was tough for them. They were living in like at one stage at my family home that you came to yesterday, it was my sister and Fisher in like the front room, me and my ex-partner in like another room, my two little sisters in two other rooms, like a 5-bedroom house, and like every room there was like mum and dad with two, me and my girlfriend with two, Fisher. Okay. So there was like 8 of us there, just like mayhem for like 6 months at one stage. Yeah. So like, and that was like 3 or 4 years before Fisher blew up, or not even, like 2 or 3 years before. And then they moved to like a little small shack that was like $400 a week to like get by. So just to see the perseverance that he had to get to where he is now is really special. And then same with my sister. Like my sister had like a really cool swimwear brand, Aloe, which did quite well. And then she eventually sold that. And she's very switched on, my sister. She's like, she's a boss chick. Like she probably wouldn't have to work a day in her life if she wanted to, but she just loves it. So she runs like the business side of Darling Shine. She does so much work behind the scenes. They used to do a lot of Fisher's merch and stuff. But the thing, to be honest, that I'm most proud of both of them, but in particular Fish, is the sort of dad he is to his daughters. Like what high profile anyone do you see is as actively proud of his kids other than Fisher? Like, I don't really see any.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't follow enough people with like young kids, but it's just like so beautiful to see how much he loves his daughters, how much he hasn't changed with the hyper growth that he's had. He's still the same guy that'll, you know, give everyone the time of day. Like, I've never met anyone who, you know, I get to go on a lot of shows with him, and there'll be just the average punter will come up and want to have a chat with him, and he'll stand there, look the person in the eye, get to know their story, and actually be interested in it. So, yeah, couldn't say a bad word about either of them.
And on that, just watching them, again, just from like a distance, but with Elodie's kid, obviously Elodie's story and losing Chumpy and then choosing to have the baby, and obviously that hits close to home with my story in Tiana, but seeing Chloe and Fish with her child was just like, you just knew the kind of people they were, just looking from a distance, you know, and I guess it's no shock that obviously from the inside circle you see it a lot better, but they're such great parents and things like that. Just seeing the way they of course they're great friends and that's what you do, but just the way they handled it from the outside looking in was special, you know?
Yeah, it's so special. And obviously, like, the fairy tale kind of worked out for my sister and Fish with, you know, years of infertility and then having their babies. But my sister writes about it in her book, which is quite funny. We both put out a book in the same month. Like, in the airport, mine and my sister's. Like, you know, I didn't fail English at school, but definitely was not a writer at school. And like both of us have books, super funny. But yeah, just seeing the way that it all ran out, obviously it didn't. And this is kind of like what you said yesterday on my podcast. In an ideal world, you wouldn't be with your partner. She would still have her, you know, her partner who passed away.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, Elodie would have her, you know, have Chumpy still, but the world isn't ideal. And Chloe and Paul would have ideally had their baby at the start of their journey to having a baby. But if that happened, then maybe they wouldn't have been as present in Minnie's life in those first couple of years when, you know, Elodie needed that help. So the world works in mysterious ways. And, you know, sometimes we just have to show up in the present moment and do our best with the situation we're dealt. And I feel like, Chloe and Paul have done such amazing things for Elodie and Minnie, and, you know, it's really cool. Obviously, they're all like family. My sister and Fisher are obviously family to me, but Elodie and Minnie have been, you know, like family since Minnie was a baby. I remember doing a podcast with Elodie when Minnie was only a few months old, and like my partner and my best mate taking her for a walk, and like it's it's been a pretty crazy journey seeing what they've built with Darling Shine too. But like you said, if your mum's a big fan, there's so many women out there who have been so positively impacted by both of their stories that they didn't have to share. And because of them sharing it, it's obviously turned into such a massive thing, Darling Shine, and a great opportunity for them to, you know, build awesome businesses out of it. But the positive impact it's had is, pretty profound.
And you've partners from Brazil, and I know we spoke on this yesterday. I'm not sure if you want to speak about here. The kind of sometimes uncertainty of dating someone from an international place. Are you comfortable to talk about that? Like, from what I gathered yesterday, there'd sometimes be that uncertainty, maybe some anxiousness around like, well, what's our future going to look like? You know, she's from Brazil. I know you said you've been in Portugal and things like that. So what's that like on that kind of level?
Yeah, my partner Carolina's absolutely incredible, absolutely gorgeous. And I met her when I was in Brazil in 2021, and I'll tell this story and try and tell it not in Brazil. I'll try and tell this story somewhat quick because I know there's going to be someone listening who's met someone overseas and trying to deal with the visa sort of situation. So I'll give the story in a bit of a quick highlighter pitch. But when I was in Brazil in 2021 doing my international surf contest, I met her on Raya actually, which is a dating app that some people probably don't know about, but a few might.
You got to get verified.
You got to get verified and shit. It's super weird.
You got to be a bit of a bigwig to get on Raya.
Like,
I think
you got to put in your Instagram and then they come back to you in a few weeks and let you know if you've been accepted. But anyway, I met her on that, and she's a top model who lived in New York for a decade. And I was like, epic, let's catch up. So we hung out for a few days in Portugal, and then I was like, probably won't see this girl again. And then I went to France for my next event, and she was in Paris for some modeling work. And I was like, oh, come down and hang out in France for a week with me. So she came down to the south of France and hung out for a week, and we got along, and it was COVID time. So she couldn't even come to Australia. So I was like, all right, cool, Euro fling. And then the next year when the borders opened in 2022, she was like, oh, I'm thinking about coming to Oz. Is that all right? I'd love to see you again. I was like, yeah, great. So she came, we did 6 weeks and, you know, fell more in love. Went home for a few months, and then she came back for 3 months, and we're like, what are we going to do for a visa? And it's like $10,000 to do a partner visa, and we just weren't financially ready or ready to really make that big commitment of, you know, a partner visa to the government doing all this stuff. So she came back and did a year student visa, which is a pretty good. I thought to do a student visa you had to do university, but no, you can do a TAFE course.
Yeah,
you can literally just do like an learn how to speak English course at TAFE and get a visa for it.
Yeah.
So she did that for a year, and then that went really well. And then we applied for the partner visa, 12 months ago now. And yeah, it's going really well. It's been pretty cool, but obviously it comes with different challenges, which you kind of alluded to before, like where thinking about children soon, where, hopefully I'm going to propose in the next, little chapter of my life. But it comes with that fear of like, she's still very attached to her family, which I absolutely rightly so, but they're in Brazil and she's not let go, but come to terms with, Australia's probably going to be our core of our life, but maybe there'll be a chapter where we spend time in Brazil. So me having to learn to be okay with that has been a bit of a journey, but I'm also like, we only get one crack at this life. How cool is it if I could live in another country for, I'll definitely do like probably a month there every year moving forward.
Yeah.
But to do like maybe a year or two there when her parents are, getting older and, we have a kid or two and we want to like let the kids spend time with the grandparents on the Brazil side. So yeah, there's all these different things, but then also like the fear that I have, and, I've been open this with her, if like we have a kid and God forbid the relationship doesn't go as well as we hope and the kid's 5 years old, like does a kid go back to Brazil or does a kid stay here with me? Like, fuck, it's a scary thing. So my hat goes off to anyone who has a relationship with someone who is, international, and I'm 100% committed and I think we're going to, have a beautiful future together. But there's those little things at the back of your mind that scare the fuck out of me, to be honest.
Yeah, I could imagine. And it all comes back to that, like grounding yourself and everything we spoke about in the beginning and what your whole, the Good Human Factor is about, like mindfulness and bringing yourself back down from those, I guess, like heightened emotions and things like that, right?
And I think as well, just like focusing on open communication. She'd had a long relationship before, and in that relationship, she was quite financially and psychologically manipulated through a big part of her life. And since that, she's learned all these lessons that have been beautiful for me to bring into my life. She's a little bit older than me. She's about 8 years older than me. And just the communication that we have around things like what we've just spoken about is so different to any relationship I've had before. And speaking to you yesterday on my podcast and after the episode, just about how your relationship's been, it's nice to, hear you talking as well about how important communication is.
Oh, mate, it'd be nothing without it, seriously.
Like so many relationships really struggle with that. So I'm very fortunate that, if anything comes up, we, solve the challenges that we're going through straight away and actually air out what we, are going through and have like a rule of like unspoken boundaries of future resentments. Like if you've got a boundary, talk about it. Don't have it in the back of your mind. Don't say anything and then just resent
and
the
let
person.
it build up. Yeah, for sure. Before we wrap up and get into the Patreon, you've spoke about that mindfulness and meditation and gratefulness. What are one or two other things you would say to somebody who maybe hasn't experimented or know much about that side of, I guess, helping your mental health as a whole, and maybe you're struggling or even just want to improve their day-to-day life? What are a couple other tips you would give to somebody?
I mean, first and foremost, if you are in a place of struggle, don't feel bad seeking help. I know you're very open about getting therapy or seeing a psychologist. Like if you're not feeling good for, more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row, go to your GP. Let them know how you're feeling. They'll recommend you to a psychologist. Let somebody who's a professional at dealing with what's going on up in your head help you deal with it. Yeah. So that would be my first thing. And my second one, I'll just leave you with, once again, trying to have that 1% of your day for your mental health. Do something. There is so many things that make us feel good, but feeling good is a practice. Like it takes action. And I understand as well, like speaking to you yesterday on the podcast was quite eye-opening for me. You saying there's days where you like could barely get out of bed. You can't do anything. And I respect that. And that's where, if you're at that stage, go and seek professional help. If you're not quite at that stage, start with the small steps. The 5 minutes walking outside in nature without your phone, just focusing on what you can see, what you can hear, what you can feel, grounding yourself back in the present moment, trying to get out of this chaos that all of us are stuck in our head all day, every day. Get off the technology, get outside, get in the ocean, go for a walk in nature. Like these things all have such a positive benefit, but we actually have to take the action. So if you're not at crisis point and not getting out of bed, try and start with those little 1%ers, that little going for a walk, getting in the gym, eating healthy, getting a good night's sleep. Like we know all of this stuff, but knowledge is knowing it. Wisdom is actually doing it. So try and, move from knowledge to wisdom.
Awesome, bro. We'll put your, fuck me, Dad. I was doing so well. Can you buy the book online?
Yeah. If you want to,
sweet.
if you want to buy
We'll
my
put it all-
book, just thegoodhumanfactory.com. I'm sure they'll leave it in the show notes. But if you use the code podcast, anytime I go on a podcast, I say to people, use the code podcast, and you get 25% off.
Awesome.
And every copy on my website is a signed copy. But if you go to the airport or anything, you'll see a book that says the 1% Good Club in big yellow writing.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to learn anything more about the wellbeing workshops I run for schools, sporting clubs, corporate groups, on my website, thegoodhumanfactory.com,
Awesome.
you'll find it all as well.
We'll put it all in the show notes. But thank you very much for coming on, bro. I appreciate it. We'll jump in the Patreon for 20 minutes if that's all good. Be a bit more lighthearted. I'm going to put up my undefeated Scattergories championship on the line, believe it or not. So once again, thank you for coming on, bro. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Mate, like, we met properly yesterday. Like we were speaking about, we've almost been pen pals online for a while there, bro. But I've always been a big fan of what you do, and thank you for doing what you do and for taking the time to come on here, bro.
No, my pleasure. And thank you for coming on my podcast. If you're listening to this right now, go listen on Good Humans podcast, Pat's episode, because I feel like you told a few stories in there maybe that you haven't told like you did yesterday.
There probably would be, to be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate you being so open. And, it takes people like you who aren't stereotypically the mental health guy. Maybe I wasn't either, and probably still aren't, the surfer guy.
Yeah.
But I think people like me and you can really change the statistics and really try and let people who might not generally lean into their mental health feel comfortable doing it. So thank you for what you do as well.
Awesome. Right, I love you guys. See you soon.